Okay, so this is the GE66 Raider. It's by MSI, which is a computer manufacturer that's known for making gaming laptops. It's got a 15.6-inch screen, 240 hertz fast refresh display. I don't know what the response time is, but I'm guessing it's 3 to 5 milliseconds because the gameplay looks really good. It's got a Core i7 10th gen CPU with 6 cores. It's an Intel 10750, I believe. It's got 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's got an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2070 Super. It's got 1 terabyte of solid state storage. It's a sort of a slate gray color on the outside and black. The deck is black. I won't call it space gray because maybe Apple has that trademark. And it weighs about 5.5 pounds. The build quality is really solid, but even though it weighs 5.5 pounds and it is a full-size laptop, it's very handleable. The weight is well distributed, so it's relatively easy to pick up for something that has desktop power or desktop class power. It's pretty handleable. There's some mild flex in the display, but nothing extraordinary. Not extraordinary at all. It's actually really solid. And even though it's made out of mostly plastic, I think, except for the lid, it is very well put together. This is not a cheap laptop. The display is 1920 by 1080. Again, it's 240 hertz, probably between 3 and 5 milliseconds of response time. There's no ghosting, even with fast-paced games like Doom Eternal. And the color calibration is really nice. You can't really tell here because I'm not shooting in 4K and you're not sitting right in front of it, but for a gaming monitor at 1080p, it's probably pushing 98% of sRGB color coverage, if I had to guess. It's got a 1080p webcam, which is nice because there's some laptops, some notable laptops like the Asus G14 that actually leave out webcams. So let's check out ports. So on the left side, we have a standard USB-A port. Even though it's USB 3, it's a Type A port. This is a USB-C port. No display port support here. So because I've tried to plug up my monitor into this USB-C port and it doesn't work. Right here you have your standard headphone microphone jack. On the right side, it's pretty simple. We've got 2 USB Type A ports and 1 SD card reader, which is a nice treat for you content creators. Now on the back, things get interesting. On the back you have a display port out, mini display port. You have a USB-C / display port out here that I'm using to actually drive my monitor. RJ45 for Ethernet, USB-C, or should I say HDMI 2.0, and you have the power adapter. Now, instead of the usual barrel power adapter, this time around, MSI is going with something that's symmetrical. You can put it in either way and it'll be right. My understanding is it's supposed to look a lot like the Lenovo laptop power connectors. Now the sound that you heard until I closed the lid was the sound of the fans after playing Doom Eternal for about an hour. And hopefully it'll come back up even though it was hibernating. The whole point is that this is a powerful, getting close to desktop class laptop that's been under load for an hour, but the fan noise is not terrible. As a matter of fact, I'm guessing that it's around 48 decibels. And I can check that. Yeah. "49 decibels. And that's actually pretty good because with the Asus G14, the fan spun up to about 50 decibels under load. And this is a much bigger and a much more powerful laptop, at least from a graphics card perspective, if not from a processor perspective. This has an RTX 2070 Super as opposed to the G14's RTX 2060 Max Q. And Max Q is a much more power limited version of the mobile chips that NVIDIA makes, especially for staying within the thermal envelope of a laptop. MSI has something called gaming mode. If you turn this on, it will spin the fans up to 56 decibels. Now, that doesn't sound like much more than 49, 50 decibels, but decibels increase, the loudness increases in a non-linear fashion. It is much louder than this. It's loud enough to the point where you really have to wear headphones in order to get anything out of the gameplay, and you can hear it across the room. It's quite loud. But as it stands now, this is acceptable. You'll have to turn off gaming mode. There's a couple of modes over here on the left side. Go into gaming mode and turn it off because you don't need it. There's no performance difference between gaming mode and non-gaming mode. No noticeable performance difference. It might be a few frames a second, but it's not noticeable. So turn that off, and also instead of extreme performance, which is the default, which as a matter of fact I turned it on, and now you can hear the fan spinning up even higher. Set it to balanced. It's gonna keep the fan noise from being insane, but it also doesn't throttle the CPU and GPU that much, if at all. Okay. Just to show you my favorite game right now, Doom Eternal. If you look in the upper right hand corner of the screen, you can see the frame rate with this intense AAA title right now, and it's hanging around 200 frames a second at 1080p. That's pretty impressive. I had this on a pretty low difficulty setting because, quite frankly, I wouldn't be able to get by without being on the I'm too young to die setting while I'm trying to talk to you all, and I still didn't survive. But you can see that this thing can hold up pretty incredible frame rates on Doom Eternal with all the action going on the screen, and I've seen it go up to 200, and it usually hangs around 130, 140 frames a second, no matter what's happening on the screen. Okay, let's get into some Doom Eternal gameplay. Here, keep your eye on the frame rate counter in the upper right hand corner. You're gonna see it hanging around 200 frames a second, and I'm recording this at 1080p, but it was actually playing on my 2K monitor at 2K, and that's the frame rate that we're getting. Almost 200 frames a second at 2K. It's not 4K, but it's 2K. You can see there's lots of action happening on the screen, lots of pieces of bodies flying around, and it's all very fluid. It's very fast. There's no slowdowns, there's no stutters, there's no nothing. So with me pointing that out, I'm gonna back off, be quiet, and let you enjoy this gameplay of Doom Eternal.